only at the top tier. A lot of times people will try and say, oh, which is the best ladder, which is the best server. Well, all the ladders are going to be the same unless you're able to get into the top 20 with like a 65% win percentage in solo. Then it doesn't matter which ladder you play on. It really doesn't. So
I completely 100% agree on that. I personally think Asian and Europe ladder is very overrated. It's pretty much until you get to top 15, in my opinion, all the players you're gonna be versing are really good. Like they're all pros from teams. Like if you go on Bound.net on the website, you look at the top 15 players on Europe Pro ladder. There's Xlord, there is Noth, there's obviously Grubby. There's like 15 top 15 players in the world that play on that pro ladder. So I mean, if you play really well in Europe, and you have like Lado said, like a 65% chance of win, then you're gonna play really good players, and it's pretty good practice.
Yeah. So that's that. Anyway. Okay. You want to get this? Do you want to do 1 minute again? 1 minute at 1x speed.
Yep. 1 minute, 1x speed. I'm gonna do Lado's point of view, fog of war off, just so we can look at what Slunky's doing too.
Okay, so 1 minute, 1x speed, unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. 1 minute, 101, 102, 103. Okay, now if you look, he says, thought you were Orc, but I do play both Orc and Night Elf. I just play Orc when I get bored with Elf. Sometimes Elf gets boring. Yeah, so anyway, that's that chat. Now if you take a look at my build is just a standard Archer Tavern build. In my opinion, on this map, I actually just watched that Moon game that was on the front page, and he built the AOW over by the Merc camp, which is way better in my opinion. I just didn't think of it. This game is kind of old. It was, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks into season 6 or so. So it's about like 3 weeks old, this game, from today. But anyway, what Moon did is he built his AOW over at the Merc camp, and he crept that with a Dark Ranger, and what that did is it got him 5 skeletons, and he bought the Merc, and then he can go over and creep the mine on the far left. And not only does that get you like 2 better items, but it gets you a higher gear level and more skeletons. So that's a way better creep pattern. I should have done that. The creep pattern I'm gonna do is I'm gonna creep that the 3 little trolls there, and then the 3 guys at the mine, which is also good. It's not nearly as effective though. The only bonus I can think of is that the mine on the right that I'm going to be creeping is a little further away from his base, but it's not even that much further. So, but if you take a look at my wisp, I send a scout wisp over at that mine, because a lot of human players are going to expo that mine, because that mine is super easy to creep. So a lot of human players are going to try and expo it. So that's why I left that wisp there. If you take a look at my Dark Ranger, it's nothing exciting, just normal creeping. Make sure your AOW doesn't get the last hit.
And if you see what Slunky's doing right now, he's pretty much doing the standard creep pattern on this map as human. I mean, you creep the green on your left, so this is like the same way as if you spawn top right. You creep both greens, you get level 2, and then you go to your gold mine. Or, if you don't do that, sometimes you can go Mountain King as versus Night Elf, or Archmage 2 as versus Night Elf, and you creep the green that Slunky's creeping right now, and then you go straight to the creep the mercenary camp. And you get, obviously, you have access to mercenaries, you have access to, what I meant to say was, your opponent has access to the mercenary camp too, which obviously is really bad if they get the Troll Berserker before you do. It can change the game, especially when they have Dark Ranger. That always happens to me on this map. So I think Slunky's doing a pretty well creep pattern right now, and he's doing this super easy gold mine like Lado said.
But as I was saying that, the creep pattern on the top would have been a lot better. In retrospect, like I said, this was probably I don't know, the 3rd or 4th time I ever played this map. So like I honestly didn't even think about it. But that creep pattern that I mentioned, where you do the Merc camp and then you go over and do the far left mine, you'd get better items, be a higher hero level, and you get those Mercs. So that's a way better creep pattern, and I almost wish I would have thought of that, but I didn't. So. But anyway, either way, you'll see what I mean when I say the only advantage is it's a little further away, because you'll see where Sonky is standing right now. It's just a little bit further away, but it's really negligible in all in all practical senses.
I love what you do right here. Before we started recording, I watched this replay, and it's so smart what you do. Like, right after you creep your expansion, you put up an expansion. Well, let me just say one thing. Me and Lado play a lot of games, and when we play, like, I pretty much know he plays most of the time the same way versus me, and I know that he puts up an expansion right after he creeps something, or he even, before he gets like his 3rd or 4th Moonwell, he'll build an expansion, hide it, and he'll get that expansion up so quickly, like he's doing right now. And pretty much what he's doing in Sonky's base right now is just so his expansion can get up. He will sacrifice an archer or two, or even his town portal like he just did. He killed a couple of peons too in the process, and now his expansion is up. And Sonky has to walk across the whole map to get to the expansion. But it's too late anyway because it's already up. It's pretty much already up.
Yeah, it's a really good strat. You basically, as soon as you creep the mine, then you go and hit their base. And I mean, it's good because you'll kill some peons, you might delay their tech or whatnot, but as he was saying, the biggest thing is you're basically just buying time for your expansion to get up, which is good. Something Sonky does is he tries to aggro those creeps into my tree, which is good if it's still building, but it's already up, so it's not going to aggro the creeps.
It's nice to spell. Get that archer.
Because he was building a tower there, I actually got kind of scared that he was going to try and defend tower rush my expo, because that can work, because as you can see, all I have is archers right now. So if he has defended footies and he brings like 5 or 6 militia and tries to tower my expo, that can potentially work. So I got a little scared, so I made a huntress and I put up an AP, and I dispelled those water elementals immediately. So that's the reason that I did that. Normally I wouldn't have been that aggressive. Like, I wouldn't make that huntress, I wouldn't make the AP, and I wouldn't have dispelled that quickly if he wasn't building that tower. But since he was building that tower, I actually thought he was going to come with some militia, but he didn't. So
your building is complete.
So explain what was going through your mind when he said this to you about rifle pushing. Like I said, we watched this replay earlier. He tries to fake you out saying that he's going to tower push you, and then he creeps the gold mine on bottom right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's trying to downplay the fact that he's definitely a better player than I am, and I think he was just trying to use fear tactics to try and scare me to either, I don't know, run back to my base or make me use resources to build ancient protectors or something along those lines. But I mean, he may be a better player than I am, but I'm not stupid, so.
Of course, the skeleton, you scout really well with skeletons. Another thing to note when you get Dark Ranger, it's really important to scout with skeletons.
Yeah, skeletons really good. You'll see, I actually left an archer over at his expo. I think it might die. Yeah, it did die, shucks. But I left it there just to see how many towers he was getting. Because what you want to do against humans that are doing this this mass tower expo thing is you basically want to pick the base that has the least amount of towers for your push. So to all you human players out there, basically you should have the same amount of towers at all your bases. But what you do is you scout to see which base has the least amount of towers, and then you know that's the base that you're going to push, because that'll be the easiest, obviously.
Another thing to note, as a human player, you see Sonky has his peasant and Lado's base right now. This is to see what Lado's doing. Sometimes even now they'll try and go like, with the expansion, they'll try and do 3 OW with pain a second, and they'll go like mass glaives on you. But since he sees that Lado is tech tier 2 and he's getting his lures up right now, Sonky does are pretty good at scouting and predicting what Lado's going to do. But Lado, I think, just has too many archers right now, and his hero is just already level 4, so I mean, he's doing pretty well.
What Sonky is doing here, he knows he can't win this fight, so basically what he did is he suicided all of his stuff to get my Dark Ranger low. And as I was saying, buying time is really important in this game. And basically what he was doing by making my Dark Ranger get really low on HP is he was buying time for those towers to get up, because he knew he couldn't win that fight. So it was really smart for him. You'll see his 3-4 towers are going up like right now. So yeah, but that's basically, he suicided whatever 5 or 6 footies or however many he had just to get my Dark Ranger low. Like he wasn't even trying to kill anything. He was just trying to buy time to get those towers up.
And like Lado said earlier, I mean, as a human player, when I play human, when I first started in the mass tower strat, I don't even know how long ago it was, I would notice that people would just say, okay, get mass towers at your expansion, and you'll win. Well, versus decent players, when they see that you have, like, what, 3 or 4 towers at your main, and 15 towers at your expansion, they're just going to push your main and win. So as a human player, it's really important to make an even amount of number of towers at each base that you have.